Hey, it's Kevin. Thanks for stopping by the blog today. Today I'm going to talk about one of my almost lifelong obsessions, lifelong quirks. Again, nothing strange. Well, maybe it is strange to you. But actually, one of my biggest obsessions in life are beards. Actually, in particular, my beard. I've been obsessed with growing a beard literally as long as I can remember. One of my favorite pictures of all times. And not necessarily because of the way I look in it. I was 4 years old, I think, when the picture was taken, maybe 3 years old. There's a picture of myself and my father, an old black and white picture taken with a little brownie camera, and my father is wearing a goatee, or as he calls them, a Van Dyke beard. My dad, when he went into television, never grew facial hair. In fact, I'll be honest with you, he lets it, kind of grow in these days, but doesn't actually ever really wear a mustache or a beard, or almost never has my entire adult life, or actually probably my entire life. But there was a time back in probably 1965, I think it was, just from the surroundings, when we were living in a small town in Wyoming, Torrington, where my dad, for some reason, grew a goatee. He's always had great facial hair and has to shave at least once a day, that kind of thing. And he says it's kind of a curse, which I understand. I'll never forget when I wanted to start shaving as a young man. He kept telling me, "You'll regret the day you start shaving. You'll never want to shave." And you got to admit, he's probably right. Luckily, I've never had to shave every single day, because as I got older and having blonde hair and being very fair-skinned, my facial hair was always very fine, was always very light, and actually really was non-existent until my late teens. I didn't actually start shaving until probably junior, senior year of high school. I couldn't even remember when I first started shaving. I know I was shaving in college. I do remember that. But growing facial hair was never easy for me. And as you can tell right now, at 47, it's still not great. Now, granted, what's happened is the blonde hair has turned into the gray hair. But it was one of those things. I wanted to grow some facial hair. I wanted to grow, in particular, a goatee from the time I was a little kid. I never could really do it. I never could really grow a full beard. Never really tried for a long time. I can do it now. It's not pretty. It's kind of patchy, and like I said again, it gets pretty gray on the sides, which comes with age. But for me, I'll remember when I finally had enough coloring of the hair on my face to grow a mustache. And that goes back to the early 90s, probably. There's one particular disc jockey picture of me from Indianapolis, which goes back to probably 92, 93, which has me in a mustache. Again, it's pretty much this mustache right here, about the same color. Again, it doesn't really work that well. I finally grew this when we shut down Rust Records back in February of '07. I grew it. It grew in okay. I just decided, you know what, I can grow a beard now, or I could have grown a beard then for that matter. I just decided I was going to do it because I wasn't going to shave that often, so I decided to see if I could finally do it. And I did it, and it looked like this, and then I shaved it off completely in November and started growing it again, and it didn't come in any fuller. By the time you're 47, that's a myth anymore. But, it doesn't fully connect, at least, well, it doesn't do so great on this side. There's a little lack of connection there. This one's not as bad, but now it's graying in here, so you can't see the connection. This part doesn't connect with this part. It's okay. It's not a pretty goatee by any stretch of the imagination. But I may keep it, I may not. I think I'm finally hitting that point where it's like I may shave it off again. But again, it's also hiding 2 or 3 chins down there, so I don't mind that necessarily. They always say I look younger without it. We'll see. My wife tolerates the beard. But again, it's one of those things. I've been obsessed with growing a beard for over 40 years of my life. And it took me nearly 40 years to be able to finally grow a semblance of a beard. Never forget when I was in grade school. I was going into 5th grade, and a kid who was a year ahead of me, his name was Jeremy. I can't remember Jeremy's last name to save my life. Again, it's been almost 40 years since I've seen him. Came back going into 6th grade with a beard. Incredible. And he actually grew a beard and kept it then until we were in high school. And when I left Illinois, I never saw him again. Jeremy had a great beard. And I guess he didn't like the fact that here he was going into 6th grade with a beard. I was always envious. Had great beard, had great hair. Great kid, too. The weird things I know we're obsessed about, that we're envious of others. We always want something we can't have. My wife would like to be taller. I'd like to be thinner. like to grow better facial hair. It is what it is. Have a good one. Back tomorrow.